Welcome to the CSUSB Advising Podcast. This is Matt Markin, an academic advisor in the ASUA Academic Advising Office, and I am joined by my esteemed colleague.
Hi, my name's Olga Valdivia. Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, welcome, Olga. I know we're both excited for this interview. And, there's been various initiatives and support offered to students. And one of the newest ones is providing a ChatGPT or ChatGPT Edu to all faculty staff, but also to all students at CSUSB. So, Olga and I have many questions about how this impacts you, the CSUSB student, and we have a special guest to help dive into all of this. And that is Dr. Fadi Muheidat, or also known as Dr. M, Associate Professor of Computer Science and Engineering and the Director of the Teaching Resources Center. Dr. M, welcome.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Olga, for having me. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, again, we're both very excited as well. And I'm going to start with the first question. Olga and I will kind of take turns asking more about this initiative. So I guess, can you help us kind of give us the broad picture to start this interview? What's the background behind CSUSB implementing ChatGPT to faculty, staff, and students?
Well, I mean, this is a really wonderful opportunity. Like, came from the California, Cal State, the Chancellor's office, about providing access to all CSU students, faculty, and staff for kind of the latest technology of AI, which is with the kind of ChatGPT, basically for education. So that initiative was, meant to again provide equity access to all students. Technology is there, and it's kind of proven to be useful technology. And there are kind of multiple purpose, not only just to kind of enhance or provide the equity access. Also, they believe, as you mentioned at the beginning, that this technology is here to stay. So we need to make sure that our students are ready, prepared. They know how to use the tools. They know how to interact with the tool, and in some majors, how to develop the tool, right? Mm-hmm. So because we have different majors in our campus between computer science and engineering, and we have other disciplines, STEM, non-STEM. So we have kind of different interests in the tool. So that was a kind of a great opportunity for our students to have access to this wonderful tool, and a very powerful at the same time, as it can change people's life between time management, between productivity, between tutoring service, for example. So you can name it. So I think that's where that initiative came from. And we are grateful for that opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll continue with the next question. So what's the way students can access ChatGPT?
Yeah, the good thing about the ChatGPT education, we call it ChatGPT education. That's kind of the real name for this initiative. It's being integrated into our kind of MyCoyote portal, so students, they can use the single sign-on, and they can access it. It's kind of a tab on their portal, and secure, safe, and that's kind of another kind of level of assurance to our students that it's not just something going to be accessed for any browser. It's protected behind our firewalls, behind our kind of security measures that the university is providing, and kind of at their fingertips. Like, they just can click that MyCoyote tab, and we'll have access to it.
Awesome.
And not only have access to the tool, they are also access to everything in the tool provided. So as students, they see the same screen as faculty, as staff. And that's very important, that we are not like showing like tiered or level of access. No, they are all have access to the same tools. So we ensure that they, like, whatever we use as faculty in our classrooms or design our assignments, we design them for a tools that our students having access to.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, do we have any tools available for students to better understand how to use it?
Yeah, actually, thank you for this question, because this is what getting us busy this spring. When I was like kind of joking, saying I'm waiting for semester to end, we have the role came in like mid-semester, where we need to get ready for it. So from kind of faculty perspective, as a Faculty Center for Excellence or TRC or the IDAT, the Instructional Designers and Academic Technology, we work together as a team here to make sure that transition is taken care of in a very smooth way. So as you might know, the rollout went to a pilot study of faculty, kind of a cohort who kind of have early access, kind of to assess and help us by doing the workshops. So we started with the workshops as kind of our first kind of tools and access to faculty. We kind of, after doing the workshops, we learned a lot from their experience and what their needs. Then we opened it for all faculty in the whole community. And we also run another series of workshops, like more advanced, more focused. And then now we have access to the students. So what we did, or our kind of motivation or our kind of goal is, let's just equip our faculty with the tools needed so that they can also help us provide that, what we call it, AI literacy to our students. So if I'm a faculty who are embracing the use of AI, for example, in my class, then I have a ton of resources. Our website has like a generative AI kind of general resources about any tool about generative AI, as well as a specific pages and resources for ChatGPT education. So our students can have access to that. It's public domain. And also we are kind of developing more kind of bite-size trainings, similar to the technology, like how to use this technology, how to use Canvas. That's kind of where we are going next. In addition to the existing, resources, slides, workshops, recordings, also we are doing those bite-size kind of, workshops, videos, so to give them like on board quickly on that.
Okay, wonderful. I have one more follow-up to that.
Of course.
So what measures are in place to ensure ethical and equitable use among students with different levels of digital literacy?
That's a very big question. I'm not sure if we have the full answer or the accurate answer at this time. As I said, we are really still navigating kind of this domain. It is changing very, very often, very frequent. Like I always say, if you are creating a workshop, when we create a slides and for the workshop that we are giving, if you finalize your slides like 2 days ago before the workshop, go check them again, because in the morning there's something new gonna come, it will be there. So with that, again, more challenges. For example, if I would say, when we first had ChatGPT, it becomes like 2.5 years ago, it was like 3.5, and there's a lot of issues with it. We have to be careful, like issues like hallucination, incorrect information, outdated information, and again, you might I've seen like your wonderful podcast, and I know like you've been talking about it with other kind of guests. I mean, it's being trained on this corpus of data, like on different and whatever is available online, right? Can represent our different points of views of people, maybe being trained on incorrect sources of data, right? The one kind of obstacle for training those large language models or ChatGPT in general is they don't have access to the behind the paywall resources, like the actual scholar literature that we believe is authentic, being peer reviewed and refereed. So with that comes challenges. So 3.5 was a very, very challenging model. Then 4.0 or 4.0 came in, and everybody was excited about it because kind of it reduces some of those hallucinations, some of this like incorrect information. They had what we call it content moderation to the model itself. So to provide like more safety, more kind of be like culturally responsive or culturally appropriate responses, understanding that. So thinking about that ethical and equitable use, I mean, the first thing I would think of, and our university did a great job on that. Actually, we had kind of a policy. We come up with a at least like we started with a policy. We call it a FAM 803.5. Basically, it is up to the faculty, the discretion of the instructor to use generative AI. So that's we can start before we talk about like how it's going to use it. we need to know like our faculty, are they ready to that, right? So we gave it, so the policy was kind of flexible to provide faculty that it's okay if you want to prohibit the use of ChatGPT or permit with certain limitations, or if you want to encourage the use of generative AI for your courses and student work. So this is what kind of we designed at this time, and that's kind of for faculty to provide that freedom, right? I just want to make sure that when I design my syllabus or my course, I need to be clear to students, this is who I am and this is how I'm going to run my course, right? So for me, Fadi, for example, I might be on certain courses. I might say I'm with the adapt, integrate, go for it. In other course, I might say I will prohibit or will be limited access, meaning that I need to be ready and prepared to educate my students about my policy and about how to use the tool. Because again, it's not only about the ethical use, it's also about how can I integrate it as a faculty in my classroom. And that's something we are focusing on, honestly, in our workshops is, okay, it's here to stay. If I need to embrace it and go for it, then that means I cannot still use my old notes. I have to go to the next level. I have to make sure that my classes are, or my courses, my assignments, my activities are kind of AI friendly, as they call it. That means you have to set clear policies, right? That's one of the steps about like ethical use and equitable use of AI. So we passed that the instructor piece is now I need to provide guidance to my students, right? So having a clear policy that I believe in, I am adapting it, given that the university with its general policy is allowing me to do so. So now I need to be sure that I have that clear policies or in my syllabus. I provide guidelines. Also, I need to provide my students the digital literacy training that they want. Correct? So some of us might think, again, back to what I said about the bite-sized trainings, I might think about maybe creating a module in my classes, provide like a boot camp, right, for my students about how to use that. And again, we have to acknowledge something that every discipline different, right? If I'm in communication studies, maybe not work for me as if I'm in STEM or in computer engineering or in biology or in social behavior sciences. So it differs, right? Some people are hardliners on the use of ChatGPT because that's completely against the purpose of what they are teaching. Thinking about writing assignments, for example, right? Even though some faculty came up with the new ideas of scaffolded writing assignments, right? But it's all pressure on faculty to educate students, provide them that digital literacy that they want, and kind of provide the support they need, right? They need, for example, either the faculty can or able to provide that support students need, or they can be directed toward the kind of the student support in our campus. Also, an important challenge I would see, and part of the ethics part is the bias mitigation, right? When those tools, as I said before, they are trained on a large corpus of material, right? They are different opinion. So I need to help my students navigate the tool, the outcome of the tool, either by being intentional, designing a certain prompts and that prompt will force the large language model like ChatGPT to create a potential bias output, correct or incorrect output, or could be, I'm going to call it not harmful output, but in the sense of as a culturally acceptable or not acceptable output. So for us, that will be an opportunity to provide critical thinking to our students. That's why when I was talking about the assignments, you can redesign your assignment in a way that meets your needs. So if I'm worried about critical thinking, which is most faculty are worried about critical thinking, they feel like our students have become, we talk about the Bloom's taxonomy, right? We're going to be in the bottom of the Bloom's taxonomy because ChatGPT is going to help them with all this information and basic knowledge, and there will be less of the synthesis on the analysis at the top of the pyramid, right? So that's very important for us. So we might use that biased output, incorrect output, as an opportunity to develop that critical thinking, right? So that could be a way. Other faculty might think about, let me do, think per share, right? It's a common technique in active learning. But here we can say think pair, share, or think pair, ChatGPT and share, right? So that you can kind of interact with the tool and criticize the output of the tool, and you provide your own response, similar to the writing. So to summarize, yes, I have to have a clear policy in my syllabus. I have to have, in even each assignment, I might have at the level of use of ChatGPT in that assignment. And I need to make sure that students understand the code of conduct, how to cite, if you are allowing it, how to cite it properly, so that you are not on the process of like cheating, if we need to use that term, and acknowledging the fact as a faculty and as students that the ChatGPT or AI detectors are not valid, they are not accurate, and that could provide an incorrect kind of results. And maybe as students who are doing great job by doing their own voice, their own tone, being flagged as an AI generated content, and that will be a problem. So this is a huge challenge. So we have to be careful how to navigate that and how to deliver that to our students. So educating our students with all, have been mentioned is very, very important and essential before even using the tool in the classroom.
Yeah. And I like what you were saying about like AI is here and it's not going away. And I think when Olga and I have talked with our students, and they've mentioned, should I use AI or not? Should I use a generative AI? And what we tell them is like, well, now we have ChatGPT education for you, but always follow up with your professor. Look at the syllabus. Of course, if there's any questions, talk to your professors and see what they tell you about it. And you were mentioning about assignments, and I guess that's a good segue into this question.
Okay.
If you know of or can share examples of maybe an assignment where ChatGPT might be helpful for a student to use.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think yes, when we talk about ChatGPT and we put policies and prohibition and embracing and all that, we are using it as faculty, right? For me, Fadi, I use it in a different kind of settings. Brainstorming is a wonderful brainstorming, right? So the way we do it, we can also teach our students how to use it, right? It's basically generating ideas. Think about if I'm doing like engineering design course, right? I'm computer science faculty, and I'm teaching engineering design. So I know that you can put the whole project in ChatGPT and you're gonna solve it for you, and you're gonna finish a year-long of course will be done like in half an hour or maybe 2 hours of a prompting, correct? But we also tell the students it's not just about that the outcome, that it is working or it's not working. It's a whole process between team-based, working leadership, kind of going through that engineering design process. So, but it will be helpful for them to navigate and generate ideas. And remember, when we design something, I'm giving that specific example as an engineering student.
Mhm.
When we design something, we don't design it for like the people on South Cal, right? If I design a project or an app or a hardware or whatever settings, I need to make sure I include the whole world. I'm a global citizen, and I always advocate for that. So you need to make sure that you cover all aspects of that design, unless it is specific for certain things, right? But if you want to be completely culturally relevant, then you might need to understand how people in the Middle East, for example, accept that. Is it acceptable in their culture or not? People in South, America, for example, or North Cal or South Cal. So that idea generation, when they start putting this and thinking about like with again proper prompting, that's we always call it. ChatGPT is a kind of probability model, right? So you might ask me a question, I'll provide you an answer, but this is not what you want. Then you're gonna follow up a question, right? Then I say, oh, I got it. Then I provide you with an answer. Then Olga gonna come back to me and say, actually, I would like to say it this way. How you think about it? Then now I get the correct question. Then you will hear the correct answer from me. That's exactly how ChatGPT works. So we have to teach our students how to properly or craft that prompt, right? We call it prompt engineering or prompt crafting, basically to maximize the output of the ChatGPT. So idea generation is one great tool. Time management. Think about like saving time about writing the emails, right? Or writing maybe a short, abstract or biography. Again, I'm not I'm doing a like mix between the kind of the code of conduct between being like avoiding copyright or using other people's work. I'm not going to talk about that because we have the tool, we are using it in more ethical way. So we teach our students how to use it in an ethical way. So they can be a study aid. One student one time mentioned to me about, oh, I've been taking statistics class, and I was communicating or interacting with ChatGPT, and I aced the class. I did get an A in that course, and it was very helpful because it was a good study aid, right? Good study partner. However, we provide students with a warning. It doesn't work for every discipline. Like certain disciplines, like statistics, is a well-known, well-established certain criteria, mathematically proved, or like there's a baseline for it. So there's not much hallucination there that could provide you wrong information, right? You might have different case scenarios, but it's still a good kind of a study guide. But other disciplines, you have to be careful, right? Another thing, myself, I'm kind of English is my second language. You can think about it that I can use it for language support, right? Understanding some of the concepts. I'm in the US. This is my almost 17 years, but I still struggle with some idioms and expressions that you guys use sometimes. So I go there and say, what do they mean by this? It was very helpful. So there are, again, different ways our students can interact with the tool. Computer science, they can use for coding. And if you are a biology student and you have a project, but you don't know how to write in Python, but you have a wonderful data set that you want to interact with, ChatGPT will be a good tool for you because they have the tools embedded there. You just communicate as a natural language with it. So they're kind of different kind of aspects and examples students can use it. Again, we have to make sure, and back to Olga's point, in the ethical way. Like we have to train them, teach them, and proceed with that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that response.
Of course.
So the next question is, what could be a way students can critically evaluate the responses that they receive back from ChatGPT Edu?
Yeah, this is a very excellent question, as well as a very challenging question. As they say, it takes a village, right, to achieve something. That's exactly my point here. It's not enough to ask students to watch this YouTube video, go to this website, read about it. It's not enough for faculty just talk about it in the classroom. We have to go back to the people who can fact check this content, right? For me, I call it's my best friend is the library at this time, right? Librarians are a great resource, and they are actually doing a great job in our campus by having their own website as well, providing that AI literacy for our students. And again, I don't want to talk much about it, but I think we also work in an initiative with them on like how we provide that AI literacy. And one of the focal point is how we can ensure accuracy and relevancy, right, of the outcomes. So, and again, I said before, it's an opportunity for faculty to kind of enforce critical thinking, right, and extra research. So possibly cross-referencing some of the information, right? I mean, it can go back. If, for example, ChatGPT can give you, if you go to ChatGPT and ask for something or do deep research with ChatGPT, it will provide you with the wonderful outcomes, maybe a paper like 10 pages paper with resources, such a wonderful, like I said, oh my God, where have you been, right? However, what things that you might find there, that, oh, there's a statement has been quoted from this reference, right? You click in the reference, previous models, you don't find it. It just came up with that reference from nowhere. In new models, and that's where the challenge, when I said it's keep changing, they are improving those models in a certain way, makes whatever instruction we provide previously to students invalid. We have to update that instruction. So one of the reference models could be, one of the references could be accurate. Click on the link, it goes to Nature, it goes to PubMed, it goes to Google Scholar, and it give you that access. However, the challenge is where the content being cited, it doesn't exist in that reference. So that's why one faculty, she mentioned about, we were in training and she said, it referenced my work, but I have never said that in my paper, So that was an eye-opening to us. But she's a faculty and she is the author of that paper, of that reference. But students are not. We don't have that knowledge, right? So that's where the library rule is. We have the library access. So we need to tell our students, this is the access and you have access to it free on campus, right? Maybe we can be intentional about some of these assignments, and we want them to learn how to go and do that. So understanding that to do a cross-referencing, going to the authentic resources could be time consuming, by the way. Yes, I'm saying it with ease here, but that could be a time consuming. Certain majors, you don't have to worry about it. If you're in math, computer science, you don't have to worry. Established sciences, there's no problem, but others, we have to be careful with that. We have to teach them to understand the limitation of the ChatGPT, right? They think about how it's being trained, what kind of hallucination is possible, what kind of, again, the issues like, maybe this output is not accurate, and you give them an example and let them use sometimes their common sense. And sometimes that's why when you say pair, share, right? Think, pair, and share. So you can use that team-based learning or kind of group or teams so that they can go and do the work and start fact-checking each other's, outputs based on what they are reading. Ask follow-up questions. And that's the beauty of large language models. The moment you start asking follow-up questions and start doing, oh, but I didn't say that. Like one time they give me like, I authored a book. I said, I didn't author that book, Then, oh, you are right. Sorry, I made a mistake. Then it's up. So if you keep asking them, make some of your prompts that doesn't make sense, then you will know that it's going to bring any information regardless. It is just kind of a disclaimer here. It is getting better with that. It is getting better that providing can say, no, there is no reference that supports your point, or it doesn't exist. A possibility. Always, the faculty is your expert, subject matter expert. So it's always a good way to contact your faculty about that. I think, as I said, verification is important. How to verify different resources, being aware that there are biases and that, right? Also, something that maybe some of us have hard time with is the context, right? You remember when I said about prompt engineering? Part of the techniques or frameworks of prompt engineering is give me the context. Oh, you are the large language model. You are a high school teacher who teaches biology, and you are talking about the the DNA sequencing, right? Design an assignment for a 9th grade student who will be interested in understanding the different types of the DNA. So the way I'm saying it, I'm providing the context, the rule, the time, the expected output. That way, students will be able kind of to verify that, oh, but I'm talking about high school and you gave me something maybe graduate level, or you give me something not necessarily related to DNA sequencing. Maybe it becomes a math topic rather than it's a biology topic. So I think that's how it is. Again, it's challenging. I'm not saying this is going to be an easy task, but it's very challenging, but doable.
Yeah, but it's essentially like just testing it out, but also not believing what you're told in a sense, but double checking.
Right.
A few months ago, I asked ChatGPT about architecture majors, and response made it seem like we have an architecture major at CSUSB. And then I asked a couple follow-up questions, and it was trying to direct me to contact the art and design department. And when eventually said, well, we actually don't have an architecture major, then it was like, oh, true. So, but here's some other schools that have it, so
right.
It's always like these follow-up questions, but yeah, always kind of double checking. Now, you were mentioning, about policies with AI and maybe there being a blurb in the syllabus or the department having a policy. Do you know, like from the institution level for CSUSB, is it CSUSB has a policy and then departments and faculty then kind of use that as an umbrella, or is it kind of vice versa that the faculty and departments create it and then the university has like a overarching policy?
Yeah, actually, because the policy that the university developed and adapted has the three categories between completely prohibit or accept with limitation or kind of integrated, complete integration. And they keep up to the faculty discretion, right? So I would assume that policy, again, it's just a policy and I can use it. And we also assess them of the language that possibly they can use in the syllabi, and they have control over all of that. Maybe some departments, again, I'm not sure, like, at least in my department, we didn't like talk much about, having an autonomy, like, like this is exactly how we need to handle it, right? For example, computer science and engineering, you shouldn't allow it, right? Because it is the hardcore of what we are teaching our students to do so. So it's difficult for me to assign a lab project on programming in Python or C++, because you go ChatGPT, 5 minutes, it's done, right? Even though we have a solution for this, again, back to the instructional design that we want to do, but there is, it's all free at this time, like freely to each department, each unit to decide, the best way that fit their needs. But there's no obligation on you have to use it.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So my last question is there an evaluation plan in place to track and implement ChatGPT Edu on student learning?
The one I know that the university have did, I think, send the students a survey and faculty, kind of a baseline survey, so that we can, learn more about, their experience. And I'm pretty sure this will be like a pre and post. I don't have really solid knowledge about, the full plan, what to do. But I know some faculty have some initiatives about creating their own kind of performance metrics, right? And, so that they can see how our students using it, or maybe ethical audits that they provide, see how our students adhere to those ethical guidelines that I set in my syllabus or in my AI literacy. Could be for research purposes, or could be for other proposals, or to improve their future offerings of the courses. As I said, the thing that I know, and I've seen it in my Coyote, is that the baseline survey that the university did with the rollout of the ChatGPT education. However, from the faculty development perspective, we did survey our faculty as a need assessment, right? So how you use it, what you use it, what kind of support that you need from us to gauge our trainings. And I think we will see more of this going to students, especially the ChatGPT education was rolled out for students, I think, on April 14, maybe last week or something. And again, I'm not on the steering committee who are on the rollout of the ChatGPT rollout, but I know that they are working. It's part of their plan to do so.
Well, I know it's an exciting new initiative. It's going to be an adventure, and I'm glad that you were able to talk to Olga and I about this, about ChatGPT education and kind of its benefits and kind of what to look out for. And I'm very happy that when we get to meet with our students, we get to tell them about it. And hey, I know we've had some students that have seen the emails, they've seen it on their MyCoyote account, and they're kind of testing it out as well. So it's going to be an ongoing conversation. We'll kind of see how things go in the year. But thank you so much for chatting with us about ChatGPT education.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Really, it's wonderful to talk about it. And again, this is ongoing and always improving and updating. And if we need to give an advice for our students, please go learn it, embrace it, use it in a way, not just as in a passive way, actively using it, integrate it, and see how it can provide a workflow for you, right? Especially when you go to industry, you will be competitive. Meaning, I always like it from Jose Bowen. One time he said, ChatGPT doesn't we are not losing our jobs because of it, but we are called to change job. So basically, we need to change the way we apply for jobs because skills are changing. Something going to be automated with generative AI, which is good for our students to learn about it, as well as when you change something to AI, automate with AI at the same time, it opens another opportunity and jobs for you to develop those tools, right? So that's why we are really excited about this initiative, just because of that. Not only just use as a homework or whatever it is, but we want to make sure that they are using it, understanding it, so that they can be a better users and kind of career ready. Let's call it this way.
Yeah, I know Olga and I look at it as it's like a sandbox, and you can play with it and see where it takes you.
Correct.